Next here on the toolbar are interactive elements, and if you click that element, you'll see that there are many buttons, for example, that you can use that Genially has pre-created. You can resize them, and in fact, if you choose the buttons with words, let me hit the back button here. I'm going to make this larger to make it easier to see. You can actually edit the text. And you can delete, for example, you might not like the little picture that is attached or the icon, so you can delete that. Now, this button is actually several items joined together, and in order to be able to get rid of them, I'm going to need to highlight the button, unclick the group, delete the item, and then I can decide to group them again if I like. It's very important in Genially to remember that when you group and ungroup things, you can change the interactions and commands you've assigned to them. So it's very important to first create your design in Genially and then to add the interactivity. So I have this button and I can click on it, and once again I can choose a color and adjust it that way. And you'll see that there are many styles of buttons. And don't forget that you can also import or use any button or image as well in your Genially. The one more unusual item or concept for Genially is that you can add interactivity with an invisible area. So what I can do is click this blue box here and drag it over. And you'll notice that when I do that, I could choose to have just a specific part of something be interactive. So if I don't want the whole picture to be interactive, but I only wanted the graduate's face to be interactive, I could resize this and then add interactivity to that. And I could do the same thing if I wanted to be able to have different little spots of the picture interactive. So now I'll go ahead and demonstrate interactivity and the different types of interactivity in Genially. So if I click on something to make it interactive, and I'll start actually just by clicking on this text. Anything can be interactive in Genially. So I have this text, and in order to make the text do something, I simply click this button that looks like a finger pressing a button. And when I click that, you can see these are the interactions that I can create. I can create a tooltip, and that is simply some words that pop up. And that's the first one that I'll do. Now notice that I actually can add in here, in addition to words, I could have a little picture. I could have lots of things. Here's an emoticon I can choose. And I have the ability to format this text as well. I can even add a movie here if I wanted to, or a small table. So really anything that can fit into a pop-up can be added. So I'm going to click Save. And now, in order to preview this, I've got to click on the eye here. Notice, however, that when I click on the text now, it shows me that I have a tooltip. So I'll click on the preview button, and then I am rolling my text over, and you can see that this has popped up. I'll return to the edit screen now, and we'll try another couple types of interactivity. I've highlighted it. I'm clicking on the interactivity, and this time I've set it so that a window will open. A window stays open. A tooltip appears and disappears when you're rolling the mouse over it. So here is a window. And again, I can add all sorts of things to windows, and I can decide whether I want a small, a medium, or a large size window. And that would depend on the content. So I'm going to choose medium for illustration purposes. You can see that when this text is selected, I now know that I have an interaction. It's a window. I'm going to preview it. And here's the window. Now, sometimes if someone doesn't know that there is an interaction, they could miss it. And that's why this button exists up here in the upper right. If it isn't saying, if the element doesn't actually tell the person to interact with it, you can click this button, or they can click this button and see all the interactions on the page as well. Okay. Here again, I'll click interactivity, and I have an option to jump to another page in the in this case, in this template. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've added that interaction, and now I'll preview it. Click the button, and it takes me to another page. Okay, I've selected this button, which is a group of items. It's a rectangle and some text over it. And you can see that it already has a interactivity assigned to it. It's a next page. And I can simply click that, and I can change just by using any of these options here. So I could change this to be a window if I wanted. And now it's a window. Some of the other fun interactions are links that will take you, or actually open a web page. So it will open it and leave Genially open behind it. You can have an image expand to be full screen. So you might start with an image and then have it blow up to be full screen. You can add an audio, and you can make other content appear on the screen when you click the button. So I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to have my picture appear when the Try Me button is clicked. So I'll click on the Try Me button and add an interaction. I'll choose Reveal, and then I choose what I want to appear on the screen, and I'll make it this picture. Then I choose Accept. Notice that now there's a little line indicating the connection. I'll click Accept, and now that relationship has been created. This picture won't appear immediately when the Genially opens. It will appear when the button is clicked. So I'll preview. And you can see now I click Try Me. And the picture appears. So those are the basic ways to create interactivity in Genially. And there are many ways to combine these effects, and it's possible to layer many of these effects on one page or within a presentation or within any Genially that you've created. One other button that you want to pay attention to, or one other attribute here, is this, I'll actually use this text to illustrate, is this button here that is the animation button. Many Genially templates have animations built into them. And so if you don't want an animation, animations can be good to get attention, but sometimes they're distracting, and they can take time to actually implement. But if I wanted to, I could have it so that actually I'll click on this text right here, and I can have it that if I hover my mouse, any one of these things can happen. So it can expand when I hover my mouse. And now I'm going to go back and preview that. So you can notice the issue is I've also got a pop-up here. But you can see that you have different options for drawing attention to things in the Genially. Okay, so that's an overview of interactions in Genially.